Okay, welcome to this tutorial. Basically, we're going to go over some simplifying of equations, about 10 of them, and then we're going to solve for x for about 4 questions. Okay, so the um, okay. So when it comes to simplifying, basically we want to take an equation and we want to simplify or get it down to its most basic form. So if we look at this first question, we have x squared minus 2x squared plus 4x squared. Okay, then this is equal to, let's see, 1 minus 2 is minus x squared plus 4x squared. So now we can simplify that even more to minus 1 plus 4 is equal to 3, and then we simply add the x squared at the end. Okay, so we could have done that in one step. I just wanted to show how you could do it or break it down, but basically that's all there is to these questions. You find things with similar variables, so variables of these things, x's, are all the same in these, in the first question, and the exponents were also all the same. That's important. We can only add, subtract, multiply, add and subtract variables with the same exponents. When it comes to multiplication and division, then we can have different exponents. Okay, if we look at the next question, here we actually have h squared, we have h's, and then we have things which we can call constants which have no h values. So the first thing in questions like this is to group things with similar variables and similar exponents. So firstly, let's start with the highest exponent. So 5h squared, there's no other h squareds. So we go on to minus 7h. So we've dealt with that, we've dealt with that. Now we look here, there's another h, so we add it, plus 8h. Okay, we've dealt with that. Now what's left is plus 3 minus 5. Now, what can we do with the h to the power 5? Nothing, so we just leave it. So we can say this is equal to 5h squared. These two have got the same variables and they've got the same exponents. So we can go minus 7 plus 8 is equal to plus, that's equal to plus h, and plus 3 minus 5 is equal to minus 2. So that is your final answer. Okay, so in this question we've got brackets, and when we see brackets, you mustn't panic. Okay, so how can we get rid of the brackets? So essentially we're multiplying them by 1 because there's nothing in front of it. So if we multiply 1 to 5, p squared, to 6p, and to 2, we simply get the same thing back. So we get 5p squared minus 6p plus 2. And then we multiply this to all three as well, and we get plus 6p squared plus 4p minus 2. Okay, now, once again, let's group things that are similar. 5p squared, so we've dealt with that, plus 6p squared. Okay, so p squareds are all finished now, so let's go on to minus 6p. Okay, plus 4p, it's also dealt with, and then plus 2 minus 2. Okay, now we deal with things that have the same exponents and the same variable. So 5p squared plus 6p squared is just equal to 11p squared. Okay, minus 6p plus 4p is equal to minus 2p, and plus 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. So we can say plus 0, but then that just equals 11p squared minus 2p. And that is the final answer. Okay. If we look at this question, we now need to multiply everything by minus 2a. So we multiply minus 2a into here first. Okay, so if we do that, then we get minus 6. So minus 2 times 3 is 6. We leave the a and we leave the b. Okay, and then we've still got that a at the end. So now we multiply this entire term into the a. So then we get minus 6a b times a again. Okay, then that equals minus 6a squared b. So the reason is a times a is equal to a squared. And that is our final answer. Moving on to question 1.5. Again, we multiply this through, so then we get 10a plus 5b, and we multiply the negative. So the negative, we can take it to be negative 1. So negative 1 times 2a plus negative 1 times b, which is equal to minus 2a minus b. Okay, now let's group them. So we have 10a, got that, minus 2a, because they've got the same variable, plus 5b minus b. Start with those. So now let's work with these two. 10a minus 2a is equal to 8a, plus 5b minus b is equal to plus 4b. And that's our final answer. Okay, in this question, we need to factorize things. So as we can see here, we have a 2a at the bottom. So let's try take out 2a from all of these things. So we have a 2a, and we're going to keep that 2a right at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to put brackets in. So this, so let's see how we're going to get this. 2a times something has to equal this. Then we're going to go plus, and we're going to select there. 2a times something must equal this. And then finally, we need to pick a different color. 2a times something must equal minus 6ad. So let's fill in these. 2a times 2b gives us 4ab. So that is good. 2a times c gives us 2ac. And 2a times minus 3d gives us minus 6ad. Okay, so this is all in brackets. Okay, so now what we have is this 2a times 2b plus c minus 3d divided by 2a. Okay, and we've got 2a at the top and 2a at the bottom, so we can cancel them out. The a's cancel as well. So then what we're left with is 2b plus c minus 3d. And that is our final answer. Okay, we're trying to do a very similar thing with this next question. So let's see what we have here. So we're going to leave the top alone, 16x to the 5. Okay, and at the bottom we have variables with the same exponents, so we can minus them. So I'm going to leave the minus sign at the bottom. Minus 3x cubed minus x cubed is equal to minus 4x cubed. Okay, I'm going to pull that minus there, and then we're going to have 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4 at the top. Okay, so now these are gone, and then 3 x's cancel with 3 of those, which leaves it with x squared at the top. We have 1 at the bottom. So the final answer is minus 4x squared. So just to clarify what happened here with the x to the 5 over x cubed, okay, this can be written as x to the 5 times x to the minus 3, and when we multiply variables with different exponents, we just add them, so that became x to the 5 minus 3 equals x to the 2, or x squared. So that's how we got this value here. A simple trick is, if we have, let's say, x to the m over x to the n, that's equal to x to the m minus n. Okay, and if we get a negative value, so let's say we get x, let's say m minus n equals x minus 2, that just means this is equal to 1 over x squared. Okay, so that's just for some extra knowledge. Okay, so let's continue 1.8. So we have we have to get rid of these brackets, so we simply just multiply this negative to everything. So we have 1 minus x, minus minus gives us a plus 2 plus 2x, because we can't do anything with that. And then let's group them. So we have constants, so 1 plus 2, so get rid of those, minus x plus 2x, 1 plus 2 is 3, minus x plus x is just x. That's our final answer. Okay. Looking at this question, so we need to get rid of the brackets at the top, so let's leave the bottom as it is, leave the a there, minus 3a plus 4a, 2a times minus 3a is equal to, minus 3 is equal to minus 6a. Okay, now we need to simplify the top, so minus 3a plus 4a is equal to a minus 6a divided by a, which is equal to minus 5a divided by a, which is just equal to, these cancel, so it's equal to minus 5. That's our final answer. Okay, moving on to question 1.10. These are all very similar, so we want to use this rule that we used here to carry out this. So let's go minus 18x cubed y over 9x squared y squared. Okay, so we're going to leave the minus as it is. 18 divided by 9 is equal to 2 at the top. X squareds cancel, so we just have x to the power of 1, so x to the 1. And the y, this y cancels with one of these, so we have 1 over y to the 1, which is equal to minus 2x over y for our final answer. Okay, let's solve for x here. So when we solve for x, we want to get x all by itself and find a value for x. Okay, so what we're doing here is, and remember, when we go across an equal sign, we have to change whatever function we were doing. So if we were adding on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, that becomes a minus. If we were multiplying on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, that becomes a divide, and vice versa. So if we were minusing on the left, it becomes a plus. If we were dividing on the right, it becomes a multiply. So let's see what happens here. X plus 4 equals 10. Okay, so that means x equals 10. This was plus 4, so it becomes minus 4 on this side. So we have x equals 6. Okay, and if we wanted to check our answer, what we do is we substitute x in. So let's do that. So we say x is equal to 6. So x plus 4 equals 10. And we say that x equals 6. So 6 plus 4 is our left-hand side, which is equal to 10. And our right-hand side is equal to 10. So this is what I treated as my left-hand side. And this is what I treated as my right-hand side. Okay, moving on, and we can always do this when we find a value for x. We can always check if the answer is correct. Okay, so now we have 4x minus 7 equals 7x plus 2. So let's rewrite that quickly. Minus 7 equals 7x plus 2. So what I want to do is bring this 7x this side, and let's do that first. So this becomes 4x. This was plus 7x, so this becomes minus 7x. Minus 7 equals 2. Can't do anything to the rest. Okay, and then I want to take this 7 to this side, so that becomes, so let's simplify this at the same time. So this becomes minus 3x. So 4x minus 7 is minus 3x equals 2. This minus 7 becomes a plus 7 when we take it to that side. So we have minus 3x equals 9. So now we have a multiplication by 3 of the x. So when we take it to the left-hand side, it becomes a division. So let's divide it. So minus x equals 9 divided by 3 is just equal to 3. And then let's divide both sides by a minus. So we get x equals minus 3. Let's substitute values in and just make sure that's correct. So on our left-hand side, we have 4 times minus 3 minus 7, which is equal to minus 12 minus 7, which is minus 19. So that's our left-hand side. And our right-hand side is equal to 7 times minus 3 plus 2, which is equal to minus 21 plus 2, which is equal to minus 19. So we now know that both answers are correct, or that answer is correct. Okay, the next question. So we want to get rid of these brackets, so we have to, we have to multiply this in to both, and multiply this in. So we have minus 3, can't do anything with that, minus x plus 4 is equal to 2x minus 14. Let's get all the x's to this side. So I want to move my x's this way, and I want to move my constants to the other side. So let's do that in one go. So we have minus x. This is a plus 2x, so on this side it becomes minus 2x. On the other side we have minus 14. I want to move this plus 4 to that side, so that becomes minus 4. I want to move this minus 3 to the other side, so that becomes plus 3. So let's simplify this. This becomes minus 3x is equal to minus 14. Minus 4 is minus 18 plus 3. So we have minus 3x is equal to minus 15. We can get rid of the minuses because they're equal on both sides. We simply say 3x equals 15. So that means x is equal to 5 when we divide 15 by 3. Now we can check our answer by substituting into our left-hand side. So we say that x is 5, so we say minus 3 minus, so we say 5 minus 4, which is equal to minus 3 minus 1, which is equal to minus 4. So that's our left-hand side. If we substitute into our right-hand side, we get 2 times 5 minus 7, which is equal to 2 times minus 2, which is equal to minus 4. So these two are equal, so we know that the answer is correct. Good stuff. And the last question, again, all we're doing is just multiplying this in. So we have 2x plus 16 is equal to x minus 7. Let's take this x that way, and we take that this way, the constants to the other side. So we end up with 2x minus x equals minus 7 plus 16 becomes minus 16. So that means we have x is equal to minus 23, if that's correct. So let's put in that into our left-hand side. So our left-hand side, then we have our right-hand side. The left-hand side becomes 2 times minus 23 plus 8. And our right-hand side becomes minus 23 minus 7, which is equal to minus 30. On this side we have 2 times minus 23 plus 8 is minus 15. Therefore, the left-hand side also equals minus 30. Both of these sides are equal, so we know that this is the correct answer. Okay, just to clarify, if we took this x, let's change colors. If we took 2x to that side and the 7 to that side, we would get the same answer. So let's do it like that. So let's stick with, let's rather rewrite this step, 2x plus 16 equals x minus 7. So the first time, we moved the single x, so let's move 2x. So we're moving the 2x this way, and we're moving the 7 this way. So what we end up is 16 plus 7 is equal to x, and that becomes minus 2x. So what we end up with is 23 is equal to minus x, so x equals negative 23. So with all of these questions, doesn't matter which side you move the x to, they should always give you the same answer. And yeah, so that's all the questions. I hope this helped.